Hello and welcome to my new channel 360 App Devs. So here we are going to learn the different technologies that are required for full stack development, what is cloud computing, what are the different cloud resources and how they can help you build more efficient and more scalable applications, whether they are cloud solutions, whether they are web applications, websites, or whatever it is, how they can be cost effective, and how basically today's latest trends of serverless deployment and all those stuff. So the topic for today's episode is how to create Next.js application. So if I talk about Next.js, it's a advanced version of React.js framework, and it gives you several features, several advantages, which I'm gonna explain in a later episodes. First of all, let's move into how to create your next application, and then we can look into other stuff. Okay, so in order to start creating next application, the first and foremost thing, or in order to create any kind of application nowadays, the first and foremost thing that we need is basically installation of Node.js. So Node.js, if you will see, so this is the official website for Node.js downloads. You can see here we have two different options. One is the current version and one is the LTS version. So LTS version is the most stable version that was released last, and current is something that is still in development or still in experimental phase, but yeah, it has the latest features. So yeah, so at present what I'm downloading is the latest version is 20.11.1. So if you are using Windows or Mac or Linux, you have different installers available. For now my setup will be on MacBook, so based on that I'll download the Mac OS installer. So it will be a .package file. So once you download it, you can see here, so once you start the installation process, it's gonna take you through different steps to download. You need to agree and you need to basically go through all the steps to get this done. If I show you my version, so if you see here, my node version at present is 21.2.0. so I actually installed the latest current version, so that's why it's showing 21.2.0. I'm gonna increase the size a little bit. Yeah, so it's visible. So you can see here, so node is installed now. Sorry, in order to basically in order to run your web application code, so we have different IDEs available. So one of the mostly used IDE is Visual Studio Code, that is freely available. We have different other IDs as well. For example, you have IntelliJ WebStorm, so which is a paid version. Then you have Sublime Text, then you have Atom. There are a lot of IDs that you can use, whichever suits you best. For me, Visual Studio Code is the best one. It provides you independent plugins and everything to basically start off your journey on full stack development. So the one which I'm gonna install is the Mac version. So here, if you have, you can click on this, you can download it. It will start downloading your VS Code. In some of the installations on Mac, you will also find an option whether you want to install it for an Intel based MacBook, or if you have latest MacBooks, it will give you an option to install the Apple Silicon one. So like you can see here, the zip file, Apple Silicon, so whichever you want, it can download. Now once your Visual Studio Code is installed, it's again the installation will be in a similar manner. You need to run the package file that will be there in the zip folder. Now here, what you need to do in order to create a next application, there is a direct command which will be used. So it is npx create next app, and if you have any specific version that you need to install for your next application, you can give @ and the version number. We are going to use the latest one, so I'm going to run it. So okay, so before that let me go back to a specific file folder structure. So usually what I follow is I have a separate developer folder inside my user. So I'll go there, and inside that I have another folder for my React application. So here I'll run this command again. So first of all, it's going to ask what's the name of your project. So let's say it's demo next app. Then it will like to ask you like whether you want to use TypeScript or JavaScript, pure JavaScript. So currently in Next applications we are following using TypeScript as of now, but it's your choice. If you want to use JavaScript, it's also possible. For now I'm gonna choose TypeScript. What is TypeScript? TypeScript is basically a type safe language that is built over JavaScript, and it has a lot of unique features that helps you code at the time when you are writing it. So for now I'm choosing TypeScript. I will give you more details on TypeScript later. So now would you like to use ESLint? So yeah, for sure, ESLint is something which helps you in formatting of your files and the code. So basically you will get to know what are the coding standards, what is the structure of the file that you need to maintain. Are there something like if there are some variables that you have taken but have not declared them, or somehow some function call is wrong. So all those type of errors will be picked up by ESLint. So we definitely need the ESLint setup. Now, would you like to use Tailwind CSS? So Tailwind CSS is nothing but a styling library, which is a very widely used library. Earlier Bootstrap used to be the one. Nowadays Tailwind CSS is catching it up, and mostly Next.js is giving you inbuilt integration of Tailwind if you select yes. For now we are going to select it no, because we are not going to do that. Would you like to use SRC directory? So this is just a way of project structuring, whether you want to separate out all your code, everything into a separate SRC folder, which you would have already seen if you are already working on some of the projects. So definitely we need SRC folder directory for segregating the code. Would you like to use app router? Yeah, sure. So Next.js is coming with two kind of routers. So router is basically router functionality to navigate from one screen to another. So that functionality is inbuilt in Next.js. You need not to write any code for that. It just follows the project structure, the folder structure that you are going to create, which I'm going to show you once I create the application. So there are two types of routing functionalities. So one is app router and another is a page router. So page router is something that was earlier introduced into Next.js, but moving towards the latest Next.js version, which is in 14.x something as of now. So there basically the recommended one is basically to use app router instead of page router. So we are going to select that one only. Now would you like to customize the default import aliases? So this is something that you will understand once you start importing your different files from different folders. So for now, as it's by default recommending to keep it no, so I'm gonna select that one only. I don't want to customize it. So once this is done, next CLI is gonna create your application. So you can see it's installing the dependencies, then it's installing the development dependencies, which are TypeScript, your React DOM and everything. So you can see how quick was the process. It also depends on the bandwidth of your internet, how fast it's gonna install. So now I have my application created. Now I'm gonna move back to Visual Studio Code and I'm gonna open the application. So as I told, it was in developer React and this is my application. So I'm gonna open it. So see here, you can see the folder structure getting listed here. So what next? So what all this setup structure is created automatically. It has all the dependencies inside my node modules. It has my project coding structure inside my SRC folder. So SRC inside app folder, we have all this stuff added. You can see here. Okay. So let's quickly go one by one on some of the files, and one of them is next.config.mjs. So obviously if you are going to select JavaScript, So basically what's gonna happen is the JS files, if you are gonna move on to the latest node installation, so whatever the JavaScript files will be created, those are gonna get created with .mjs file extensions, not .js. So this is something that you need to look out for if you are gonna start coding on your latest node and latest JavaScript. Okay, so you can see here, this is my next config object, and next config is basically the initial setup that you need to do for next application. Going ahead, we are gonna see some things that we are gonna create in this. Next I'm gonna do for package.json. So you can see here I have the name of the application, the version of the application. This I can maintain for the monitoring purposes. Then I have different scripts. If I want to run it in local, I have the next dev. If I run to in build, if I want to deploy it on the server or anything, I need to first build it and then I need to run it through PM2 application. Then you can see all the dependencies and everything installed here. Now, as I told you, it's a TypeScript application. So you can see here in your TS config, there will be a TS config JSON file that will be created for TypeScript, which will have all the initial configurations for your TypeScript. So you can see here, it is gonna take up all these sort of file extensions. So .ts, .tsx. So, and we have the folder structure also, like, you know, star slash star. So whatever is inside the parent folder, inside the child folders, it's gonna pick it up. And the by default path, as you can see here, is .src. So this particular folder is gonna have that path. So now this is basically your TypeScript configuration. This everything can be created manually. There is no need for automatic setup. So if you will go on the Next.js official site, you will find the steps to basically install it manually in any of your existing project. In order to do that, there are very simple steps. So step one will be to basically install your dependencies manually. So those will be the React DOM, Next dependencies, which are going to be the latest one. So you can see here, these dependencies you need to install. So currently the next version that we are going to pick up is 14.1.0, as you can see here. Okay, then you obviously need to install the TypeScript, ESLint, everything you can do it manually. There is no hard-coded way to do it automatically or create a new project itself. You have a already running project, you can manually make the integrations for the next application. Next we have ES, you can see here .eslintrc.json. So this is my linter file. This is gonna set some rules for my ESLint. Currently you can see it just is basically, you know, extending some core web vitals. So these are some basic standards for writing the code in your files, but obviously you can customize it to whatever level you want. Whatever coding standards are either you are following individually or in your work projects in your organizations, those are being followed. Okay, now let's first of all run the application and then we can basically explain the rest of the project. Also, if you have any static images or static files that you need to pick up, so those will be in your public folder. So you can see here I have just only two by default ones, next.svg, versal.svg. So you can see here, these are the svg files. So whatever the files you have, you can have it here, or any kind of logos, any kind of stock images, whatever. So now in order to run the application, what I need is, you can see these scripts. So these scripts can be used to run application, build application as per your need. What I'm gonna run is, run command is npm run, and then I'm gonna give a script command. So that is like say dev. So npm run dev I'm gonna give. So what is this gonna do? So it's gonna give me, so you can see here, it basically built the application in a .next folder, and then after that it basically also ran it on a localhost 3000 port. So I can click on this, I can basically open this in my browser. So you can see here. So currently what happens is, it's by default taking up a home folder structure. So currently it's taking up a home router path which is not defined anywhere in the application. So if I will, so currently what's gonna happen is it needs to load this. You can see here, so this is my first loading page. If you see the layout, so this is my loading file, layout.tsx. So what it's gonna do is this is the only file which is gonna have the HTML and body format for your index.html files, which we do in which see in single page application. So currently this is what's being loaded. Now in order to create a new router path, let's try to do that. In order to do that, as I told you, Next.js provides a automatic or by default routing procedure. So if I'm going to create a new folder, let's say login. Okay, now how do I create a screen for this? So in order to create a screen for this, what I need to do is I need to create a new file. That will be a TypeScript file, obviously. So in order to do that, what's gonna happen is I'm gonna create, so the default naming structure as per Next is page.tsx. So .tsx is basically your latest file extension. .ts is the basic file extension that we do keep wherever we are using business logic or everything. Whenever we are creating a UI file for your application, then we usually create is a .tsx, not .ts. Okay. Now here, in order to return a UI, what I need to do is, so in React or in Next, basically each and every UI is a returned function which is gonna return a HTML in form of a function. So in order to do that, we are gonna follow the TypeScript format of function, not the JavaScript one. So TypeScript gives me this this function format. So I'm gonna write constant, then my function name. So let's say it's login, and then I'm gonna create this way. So this is my login function created with this format, and then I need to export it with your keywords, export default login. Now inside this, if I'm gonna return something, I need to return it in this way, and let's say I'm gonna give it a login page. Okay, so this is my login. So now I need not to code anywhere. Like in order to load the login page on my application, I need not to make a path or make some condition somewhere until unless it's a CTA. So basically a button. Okay, so if you have a button click, then obviously you need to give the route to that, so in which route it needs to navigate to. Otherwise this, I need not to register this route anywhere. This automatically gets registered. So if I'm gonna say login here, so see, you can see here it loaded my login page. So in this way I can create as many folders I want. Let's say register is the one. Inside this also I create another page.tsx, and let me just copy paste the whole thing here again, and I'm just gonna change the name register, and I'm gonna export it. So this way, if I'm gonna change it to register, so obviously we have the same text. Let me just change that. Also it also has hot deployment feature. So if I'm gonna save this file, I need not to rerun it again. It's gonna change it automatically. So as soon as I save it, you can see here it compiled again and it changed the UI automatically. So this way, this Next.js provides the default routing through the folder structure. Now there is a very unique, or you can say very helpful feature here. So let's say I want to group both of these login and register into a single folder which says, let's say, authentication. So I need to segregate my code. But as I showed you, Next.js is gonna basically take up the folder structure for your routing procedures, right? So let's say what I do is I created a new folder, that's auth, in which I need to move my login page. So it's gonna ask you whether you want to move it. I will say yes. You update the imports always, and similarly I also moved the register as well. So you can see everything is inside my auth folder now. But how the routing got changed, you can see here. So it said register not found, correct? So now the root became auth register, see here. But I don't want to show auth folder inside my URL, right? So what I need to do, so there is a way to do that. So I just need to add brackets in start and end of the folder name. So as soon as I do this, so what's going to happen, it's going to come back to my original routing structure. See here, register is working, login is working. So it's simple as that. So this is basically part of your dynamic routing. This is a very quick shortcut to do that, to structure your folders and not to use the parent folder name into the URL. If you want to create dynamic URLs, that's I'm gonna cover later on. But for now, thank you very much and hope you like the video. Do share and subscribe my channel. You are gonna get a lot of content here.